Hello,
Hello, welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 233. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. It is December the 14th. I'm feeling under the weather, so if you have a strong aversion to sniffling noises or coughing noises, I will do my very best to not be in the microphone when that happens. But fair warning, I am ill, so hopefully it doesn't come across too clearly.
I
But
almost said more ill than usual. I was being kind.
yeah, I don't
Anyway.
I can't quite kick this, whatever. It's just congestion and coughing, and it's the entire house has it, so that's wonderful. But anyway, knitting.
Knitting. Do you want me to go first, or would you like to go
It's up
first?
to you.
I can go first since I only have one thing that I can show. I am knitting some frozen socks.
I like the striping.
Thank you. They are out of these ones are for Alice. They're going to be true afterthought heel socks because she wants big girl socks, and I don't blame her. So they are in this like lighter color right here is a Knit Picks. It's like a bluish heather, and I can't remember the color number, but I'll put it in the show notes if I remember to do that. And then the rest is mustache yarns in the Anna and Elsa color. So mustache is dyed by the wonderful Stacy,
Mm-hmm.
and it is on her perfect sock base. Ha ha ha. It is, like I said, in the Elsa and Anna. This was actually one of her OCD kit skeins, which I didn't realize when I bought it because I was like running at SSK to get all the things. So this is SSK stash. Leslie and I are having a competition. She says I can't knit up all my SSK stash.
I don't know that that's a competition when I have no part whatsoever in this, aside from not believing that you can do it.
Aww. So, this is the first pair, and what it looks like in the skein, because I still have one in the skein. So what OCD skeins are, let me back up, is they are skeined separately. So she divides the yarn in half, and they will meet exactly at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like your stripes to match up exactly, and you want to use all the yarn, you could do toe up with an afterthought heel, and you can use up all the yarn to make it match exactly. Especially if you're doing different heels, toes, and cuffs, which is what I'm doing. So these are for a little bit. She has a 6.5 wide foot, and these are like 6.25 so there's a little bit of negativity, but you want that on the sock. And her foot is 6 inches long, so actually I'm going to insert an afterthought heel right there, and the heel will take up around 1.5 inches. So that doesn't look like a very long foot.
Tiny people, man.
I know, and I started this yesterday when I was home, so it's going pretty fast. I'm excited to do the next one. I'm going to do like another inch on the cuff. I'm knitting it on size 1 needles. I think these are Haya Sharps. They totally are. These are Haya Sharps in a size 1, and I'm thinking they're around 36 inches. Good enough to magic loop for little kids. So, super excited, loving the yarn. I love Stacy's Perfect Sock Base. It's one of my absolute favorites. I feel like I knit tighter in it than most, and you can kind of see that, like my stitches in the Knit Picks. Get it on here. Seem to be larger than my other stitches. I don't know. Just making stuff up, but I feel like it is. So this is the first, and then out of the other half, Julia's getting a pair. So, and anything left over will go into a monster sock for me.
Cool.
Yep. So Christmas knitting is, well, it would almost be done, but it's not. Okay. So this is my story.
And you should preface it by saying, if you're super duper squeamish, this might be kind of gross.
Okay. So, the reason why I only have these that I can show on the needle is I went on an overnight field trip with the kids.
Which you talked about at the end of last show.
Yes. And I went with two of my coworkers, and my female coworker and I were sharing a room. And so we threw her, when we got to the hotel, we threw her stuff in the room and immediately took the kids out to dinner. And then when we got back, they wanted to go in the pool, so we got changed, ran down, monitored them in the pool, gym, hallway area. I was upstairs for a bit, like with my door propped open, listening to kids. We were trading off where we were.
Right.
And so their in-room time was 10 o'clock. And so we put them all to bed, made sure everyone was in the correct rooms, went and were talking in our room, and I was moving around the pillows and looked down, and there was a little brownish red bug. And I was like, oh, there's a bug in my bed. That's not good. And so we were moving around the pillows, and we didn't see any more bugs in my bed, and we pulled back the stuff on the mattress and didn't see anything else, and kind of shoved my mattress back from the wall and kind of looked and didn't see anything down there. And then we looked at my coworker's bed, and she had 6 or 7 little bugs in her bed. So to make a long story short, there were bed bugs. They were bed bugs. And so at this point, like, the kids are all, I'm not going to use the word asleep.
They were all in their rooms.
They were all in their rooms. They were taped into their rooms. Which, okay, like, not taped like we seal them in. You put a strip of tape.
Yeah, so you talked about that last week. I'd never heard of that.
Okay. So they're taped in their rooms with their painter tape, and she and I are flipping out. Like, but we were good about it. We weren't, like, yelling. We weren't, like, we kept our composure. And so we go down to the front desk, and we, like, and my knitting bag I had set on the bed. So, and I had opened my suitcase on the chair, which was beside my bed, and just, you know, gotten changed real fast, so it was left open. And it doesn't matter. Bed bugs can get into something as big as a credit card slot.
Yeah.
Like,
because they're flat. They're very...
Yes, they look like apple seeds almost. And I, like, Googled for hours.
That's a bad idea, dude.
So they immediately moved our room, but we had to leave all our belongings that were non-essential in the contaminated room. And they took the clothes that we were going to wear the next day and washed them on super hot. So what kills bed bugs is bugs. Let's just say bugs. What kills them is, like, super hot heat or super cold extended. So you can put your stuff on, like, super high, like the highest setting of your dryer for over 30 minutes, and that'll kill them. Or you can freeze stuff for 4 days, and that supposedly will kill them. So everything non-essential got left in that hotel, and what they have, like, how they clean up from bed bugs is they put in, like, a super duper heater, and it, like, heats the room to, like, over 115 degrees or something, and they keep it at that 115 degrees for, like, a 24-hour period. That's what the manager told me. And then they go in, and if they still see signs of contamination, they run it even longer, just to be on the safe side. And then they will ship my stuff back to me. So, of course, I overpacked projects. Like, even though Leslie told me not to last week.
You don't listen to me. I harbor no illusions that you listen to me.
I took the bacon shawl, which actually I got, I had doubled for the ruffle. I had hit the point for the ruffle and doubled and done. That was what I was primarily working on as I sat in the bed, because I had started knitting. So I took the bacon shawl, I took the Desert Vista dyework socks, and I had started a pattern called Sick Day Shawl by Kate's, I almost want to see Abernathy, but I know that's not
Atherley?
It. I think so, yes. And she just published a book that I really want to get my hands on. But so I had started that out of alpaca. It's a worsted pattern for my grandmother for Christmas. So all that stuff, and 2 pairs of signature needles and a pair of the Nova Platinos. the 2 pairs of those, and my fat squirrel bags are all inside my Tensi bag with all my clothing and stuff, and my pillow. I went and bought new pillows today. In Arkansas. And they'll come back to me, hopefully before I leave for Philly.
That would be nice.
So that's why I did work on those things. But the bacon shell it's been contaminated bacon now. So I'm just trying to laugh about it. I slept on the bus the whole way home because I didn't have any knitting. It was an ordeal, to say the least. And like, I wouldn't let them obviously keep my purse or wallet,
right,
or things that were essential to my life, or my shoes, because I kind of needed those, or like, I wasn't going to let them put my expensive bra on high heat. So those are all in my freezer right now. Everything, like, I came into my house completely stripped, threw all my clothes in hot water again, because it had already been washed, and then threw everything else that was not electronic in the freezer. I threw out my cell phone case. I like, it was like a hazmat scene up in here.
The way that you phrased that made it sound like you stripped down outside and walked in.
If I did not have a neighbor that would have enjoyed that way too much, that might have happened. But, oh my goodness, it was, and we checked all the kids' rooms the next morning because we weren't going to wake them up and have them panic. So, and my coworker and I could not get to sleep. Like, we were up till then, like, 3 a.m. that
And the
night.
managers they said it was only your room that was contaminated.
They said typically it's just one room, and they said it's typically rooms that flight crews stay in, which I thought was interesting. And it's not like a sign of dirtiness. It's like they crawl in and then, you know.
And I'm not necessarily trying to indicate that. I just know bed bugs spread.
They do. They spread very quickly.
Which is why it makes me... why I'm not certain I believe that it was only your room. But, again, out of my control.
I don't know.
So.
I don't know. But we checked all the kids' rooms, and there was no sign of them.
That's good.
There was no way we could move 40-some kids at 11 o'clock at night to a different hotel. Like,
yeah.
It just was not, that's not feasible. Especially when you have to do, like, things like have purchase orders. Like, that's just not, a feasible thing. So we checked all their stuff, and there wasn't any sign of bed bugs. And the trip itself was great, and I'll talk about that when we get into favorite things. But, yeah, I'm saying a lot. Bed bugs make me go,
And make you put your bra in the freezer. I love that. It's like a slumber party.
It's on top of my tennis shoes.
Is that besides your, like, vegan bacon and...
I moved all the food to one side. Thank goodness I had room in my freezer. Yeah, but, like, the vegetarian vegan bacon's, like, squished in the corner with some, Mama Schubert's rolls, and I don't know, it's chaotic. And my purse and all my, like, work keys and stuff are in there. I'm like, I'm leaving nothing to chance. My primary set of keys for my house and everything, that's all in there. My sunglasses are in there, like, everything that could have been completely touched in any way.
Well, that's good. You don't want them getting into your house and breeding.
No, I do not, because I can't imagine trying to put all my yarn.
No.
I would have to buy a chest freezer.
Yes. And it would be a very long process. All right.
That would be pretty
so,
terrible.
Away from bed bugs.
Yes. You have some knitting, I hear.
I do.
Now that I've been blathering for quite a while.
Not a ton of knitting. And then you haven't been blathering. It's a traumatic experience. I would have envisioned flamethrowers in that room. Like,
if I had the ability to have one.
Yeah, I totally missed all of that and woke up the next day and there was like 200 missed text messages and I was like, what the
Because
crap
it was like
happened?
2 a.m.
Yeah.
Actually, your time. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, my panic attack was all via text message to Lynn, Jess, and Leslie, and it was mostly Lynn and I because everyone else was asleep.
Yeah, because I'm on the East Coast, so and this week I've been trying to, I haven't slept well because I've been ill, and it's just, it's been a week, man. Feel like I haven't gotten anything done. Um, anyway, I do have a little bit of knitting. I'm tinking back the like 6 stitches I had done on this row so I can actually show you. Sorry about all the sniffling and mucusy noises. I did work some more on my Lucky Me cardigan. Last
Oh,
week,
that's much farther.
last week I was getting ready to split for the sleeves, and now I'm probably about three and a half, 4 inches past the
You're gonna have
sleeves.
a cardigan by the time I see you next.
Um, who knows when that'll be?
Wow.
Um, so this is the back, and it's making good progress. Like I'm still enjoying it. I'm not loving the 6/6 cables, but I do like the way that it looks,
I think it
and
looks fabulous.
I like the way that it feels. It's 90% merino, 10% mohair. It's beaver slide dry goods. They're worsted weight, and I'm not typically a mohair person. To me, it's generally too itchy. But this just has 10%, and it's just enough to make it a little softer. And if you look really, really closely, you can see it's got a little bit of a silvery halo, but not noticeably. So,
Make it warmer too, I think.
yeah, yeah. I'll probably take this with me when we go down to Mississippi to work on. But I have to wind all the yarn first because I'm not taking a ball winder. Um, and
Or
this,
you could just come over to
I
my
could,
house.
yeah.
I need to leave you a key.
Yeah.
We need to meet like halfway some point, and that could give you my key.
So this has been living in my slip stitches. It's not slanted stitches, not slip stitches.
Joanne's bag.
Yeah, and it's the one with the tape measure inside for the closure, and I really,
That's
really like this.
awesome.
This is great for a sweater, because you can pull the yarn through even with this closed. It's not gonna, like prevent that from coming through. So I like having that. And then I worked a little bit on the Bridgewater shawl by Jared Flood. This is just, it's going to be a square. You increase up to 200 and something stitches. I think I'm around 150. So I've still got, this is just, something I take to work on. It's mindless. And this is out of Madeline Tosh lace in the Silver Fox. Yeah, this was some of Rose's stash, and it was the only one that was tagged with a project, so I felt like I should knit it. And so that's what I'm working on as we podcast, because it's just garter stitch, and I don't have to think about it. And I did not finish any knitting. I did finish, here, I'll show you real quick. I didn't spin it all. I did start and finish the third and last rag quilt that I'm making for the holidays. This one is for my stepmother-in-law, whatever, Michael's dad's girlfriend.
But they've been in a relationship
Yeah,
for
like
extended
15 years, yeah,
Yeah.
long time. So this is just stripes of one and the other. It's very simple. And
I like it.
I finished doing the snipping this morning, or this afternoon. The backing is this blue flowers.
Pretty.
So I have to take all 3 of these to the laundromat at some point this week in all of my free time, and get them washed so they can fluff up really nicely. So that's it. That's all the progress I've made on anything craft related at all this week. But you finished
Okay.
something, a couple things, right?
I did. I finished my Happy Happy Joy Joy hat, which was fabulous. It's in Howl's Castle. I posted pictures all over Instagram. It was in out of Jinx yarn on size 8 needles. It's in the freezer.
Yeah, Laura texted Lynn, Jess, and I pictures of it and was telling us how it was intended for someone else, but she was going to keep it.
Yep.
Because she likes
And
it.
actually, I lied last week. I said I needed 8 inches of ribbing. I did 8 inches of ribbing, and then I reread the pattern, and I only needed 6. So it's a little bit longer anyways. And Wheezy tried to steal it too. But I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Wore it the whole trip. It's in the freezer, not in the hotel room, because we were walking around outside all day Friday, and I needed something on my head. And it's just a wonderful hat. I also finished one of my Christmas ornaments that I'm giving. I'm going to make a little coat hanger out of a paper clip I'm going to bend. And this is Susan B. Anderson's Tiny Top Down Cardigan. I have a bunch of little balls of Helix, which is a yarn by Infinite Twist. She sent me a sampler package, and it had 7 or 8 different colorways in it. So this is one of those. I can't remember which colorway though, but I'm using that for all of them. It's a great pattern for using little bits of leftover. I think it calls for worsted weight, and this is a DK weight, and I knit it on size 3 needles. I like the size of this one. I think it's like the perfect size, and I steam blocked it to make it lay nice and flat. So one down. It took me around an hour. I have 3 more to go. So that's the first of those. And then I also, actually this was finished last week, but it was not, it was blocking when we recorded. And this is the Crisp and Even cow.
Pretty. Is that a loop bump?
It is out of a loop bump handspun. And this was a Knit Vent 2014 pattern. And she actually calls for you to use 2 different colors, but what I did was I just switched. I did cut the loop bump a little bit, but I just switched as the color. I switched the colors as it came to what I needed it to be at. So it's a little bit. So when I first, before I blocked it, the reason why I didn't show it on the show is the cables drew it really in, so it fanned out and then went and then fanned out a lot. So it's a lot bigger circumference. This was the small size, but I really blocked it width-wise pretty heavily to make everything the same circumference. So I did flatten out the cables a little bit in the blocking, but I'm okay with that.
It's pretty.
And yep, hand spun. I think I used size 8 needles with this one, and then 8 needles, size 8 on the Happy Happy Joy Joy hat. Which I'm going to knit again because I like both of these patterns a lot. They're both great for last minute gifting. So that is a Christmas present. So one more down. And that is it for me for finished objects this week. We do have a question from Gizmo098. And she says, do you have any pattern ideas for lace weight handspun? Thanks for your help. The one that immediately came to mind for me was the Citron pattern.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything,
that's one that you can sort of stop anytime.
Yeah, anything that's simple that you can stop at any time. But I did do a Ravelry search there's a tag at the very bottom of the pattern, and you can click on and you can enter the tag handspun, and then you can go to advanced search and search those down to lace weights. So I did do that search for you, and I put a link there. Was there anything else that came to mind?
Well, I mean, I think that it depends on your yardage and the colors and everything. I've seen everything from an even star in handspun.
Yeah,
to,
that was,
you know, something more open work, like lots of big open stitches, like netting almost, which would stretch. If you had less yardage, you could get a bigger item if you did a larger sort of netted lace stitch.
Shipwreck
would be a lovely one as well. I think Pebble Beach is a great one for lace weight. You have to adjust a little bit, but that's not difficult. Yeah. Or you could always hold it doubled and, you know, see what your gauge is if you hold it doubled and do some research that way. You can do a search on Ravelry using gauge as well. So
you can also, I think it also depends on whether you have very, if it's like a natural colored or a gradient, or if it's like more of a variegated, how you divide the colors when you spin it definitely will affect what pattern you choose as well. The more colors, the simpler pattern you want.
Yeah, and I think most of Martina Bem's patterns are great for lace weight handspun. Like, again, you'd have to tweak the numbers a little bit, but Hitchhiker or Nuvum or, you know, there's a lot.
Like the Lacy Bactus. Like with those sideways shawls, your gauge doesn't matter as much because you're just going
until you get halfway. Yep. So hopefully that answered your question. Your Ravelry Advanced Pattern Search is your friend. I love it, love it, love it.
Ooh, there's some in curls too that I think are at a lace weight that you could easily do. The Hunter Hammerson book that we were
Yeah, and
looking.
that's written so that you can do pretty much any weight. So
Yeah, definitely. We have a ebook to review.
we do, and it's we'll go ahead and say apologies for anything that we pronounce incorrectly. We probably will pronounce most everything incorrectly. It is Mzansi, South Africa on My Needles. This is by Sally Jane Cameron. She's also known as PinkHairGirl
On Ravelry.
on Ravelry.
She lives in South Africa with her children that she homeschools, and so you can see a lot of her kids' influence in her work.
And a lot, she does there's stunning photography in this book. She lives currently in Cape Town, which is the southernmost point, I think, of Africa. But she used to live in another town, and I'm going to mispronounce it, Pretoria.
And so there's a map with the regions that have inspired the different pieces in this ebook. It's got a great variety of patterns. When you look at, there's a visual index, and it's got some cows, some fingerless gloves, 2 shawls.
It's got a picture of an angry ostrich looking at you.
It's got 2 baby sweaters, so there's a nice variety of accessories or little people type stuff.
There's 15 patterns in the book. I don't know if you just said that. I apologize. It retails for $20 if you want the digital copy, and I think it's $28 if you want both. She does have a beautiful visual index and a great page with all of her tester information. And instead of sort of reinventing the wheel with doing her own illustrations for how to cast on and how to do a cable cross and all that, she lists links to other information out on the web.
Which is a good way of doing it. There is the Cape Point cowl and hat and fingerless gloves. And those are all sized for adults and children.
Yes.
There's the hat pattern. They all have, there's tons of pictures, but those 3 patterns have that chevron type look to them. And they use fingering weight yarn.
Yes.
So there's a nice variety there.
Yeah, so you've got the cowl or the gloves and the hat. And it's all very simple color work. It's just stripes. There's no intarsia or Fair Isle in this pattern.
And for the fingerless gloves, she actually shows you where to measure. She's got a picture of her hand with a line across it for the measuring point, so you know exactly where to measure. The fingerless gloves come in 5 different sizes, from a child all the way up to an extra large. Everything is in centimeters, just so people are aware.
Yeah, well, but she also has inch measurements on there as well.
Okay.
They're just not first, that's what we're used to, because, you know, we're America, we got to be different.
Yeah, I was looking at the measurements for the hand.
All right, I was looking at finished measurements. So she's also got the Cape Point shawl, which follows the same color schema, in her book anyway. You could substitute in whatever colors you wanted. Yeah. Which is a crescent-shaped shawl with some very simple color striping in there.
I like the fact that this book also, and in addition to the lovely pictures of nature and the knitting patterns, it also gives you some facts about what inspired. So like the Table Mountain shawl, it tells you about what Table Mountain is, and it was recently added to the list of the 7 wonders of the natural world. And there's the picture for that. I like that there's a subtle texture stitch.
Yes, and then once you get into the solid yarn, it's a much more established texture there. I think that's a smart decision.
There's some great pictures to show you some techniques that you might not already know, like adding a lace border.
Yeah, and applied edging. The charts are very clear, and of course in a digital form you can blow them up to as big as you need. I like the Volstrius pattern, even though it is my nemesis, Feather and Fan. It comes in 2 sizes, and it allows you the option of adding a layer of fabric on the inside. the wrong side of the lace so that you can to add a layer of warmth to it.
Yep. It comes in charted and written instructions.
Yeah.
I like the forest cardigan. I think that's my favorite thing.
Yeah, and this one is written
I'm a sucker for a baby.
Like newborn up to 10 years old on that pattern. Yeah, 12 to 18 months, up to 10 years old. Apologies. And
with very specific yardage for each. So now it doesn't just give you like 400 yards and 600 yards.
Mm-hmm.
It's 544 meters or 595 yards, and then so it's very specific in its yardage.
I like the big loop closures. I think that for a wiggly baby, that's actually a pretty good idea.
They're very cute.
And then there are the Drakensberg hat and mug warmer.
Yep, there's a lot of patterns that pair with other patterns, which is really cool.
Yeah, where the stitch patterns sort of mirror each other.
Yeah, I really like the Josie socks.
I like those as well.
Very cute.
And the hat pattern also goes from newborn up to adult large. And the socks are sized for everybody in your family. Yep. They are sized from baby, toddler, child, small, medium, and large. So you don't have to do any of the resizing yourself, which I think is great.
Nice clear schematics. The next pattern is a shawl. There's an example of the schematic. It is the
Jacaranda?
Sure. Which is a top-down triangle shawl with a lace edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's very pretty. Let me find a big picture of it. There we go.
And then she gets into some of the more not similar is the wrong word, more well-known African cultural sort of imagery. Yes. Yeah. So I looked at that glove and thought, oh, that's Intarsia. That sucks. But it's not, actually. It's Fair Isle in the round for this part. And then this is all duplicate stitch that you can add later.
Wow.
So you don't have to juggle individual bobbins for Intarsia, which I guess if you wanted to, you could. I don't see why you couldn't. And that's also sized from small up to extra large.
The next fingerless glove is also
Fondi.
Influenced by some beadwork.
And that is Intarsia. Again, sized from small to extra large. And the last, I think, is oh, nope, it's not the last. The next to last is the gape. And this, again, is a more similar sort of African cultural icon of the little girl, which is duplicate stitched on afterwards. And it shows you the inspiration, of course, of where it came from with the little beaded pen.
And then the last pattern is probably one of my favorite. I'm a sucker for the two baby sweaters in here. Can you see the owl on the tree?
Yeah, baobab.
Yeah, there's a little owl on a tree. And then there on the cuffs of the sweater, there's little owls as well.
Oh, that's clever. I didn't actually see that before.
Super cute. So, and it's got the buttons on the side, so you can easily unbutton that to go over baby's head. It goes from a newborn up to a year-old in sizing.
It is primarily a reverse stockinette with the charted tree.
The little owl, which is super cute. So that is it. We wanted to thank Sally Jane Cameron for sending this our way. It's a very neat book.
And the photographs are just stunning, too.
Oh, yeah. They're absolutely gorgeous. And lots of pictures of each piece in different, like close-ups and far-away shots. Yes. So lots of variety of photographs there.
And I like that. And in each pattern, we didn't go into it, but in each pattern has a little description of the inspiration and the area of the inspiration and how it related to her personally. So if you like sort of your knitting to have its own biography, this might be something you want to check out. Yeah.
We do have one ebook copy of the book to give away. So what we have linked in the show notes, which is found at TheKnitGirlls.com, with our episode, which is 233. We've linked the ebook, or you can just go search it on Ravelry, and we want to know what your favorite pattern from the ebook was. So, which of those patterns you like the best? Because I'm always curious to hear what other people enjoy.
Yeah. So, and we'll draw that the next time we record. We're not totally sure when that's going to be yet. But if the thread's still open, you can still enter.
Yeah. I am currently reading The Dark is Rising by Susan Cooper. It's a book that I read every year at this time of year.
I was going to say, I thought I remembered you reading that before.
That's like my book that I love to read in the winter. I actually found we have a giveaway book this week, but like reading that thread and seeing what other people's favorite books are for the winter season was really interesting, and it's amazing to me how many people do not reread books. Oh. And Eloise doesn't reread books.
I don't reread them often, but there's some, like...
I reread books all the time.
It depends. Like, if I'm... Like I mentioned last week, if there's, like... if I'm reading a series, and it's been more than a couple months since I've read the last in the series, I'll go back and reread it, so that I remember what's going on before I start the next book. And then there's some, like... My Teenage Heart just fell in love with this Jude Devereaux book, A Knight in Shining Armor.
I love that book.
It's so cheesy.
It's so terrible, but it's so good.
I read it at least once a year. I read it, just because it's familiar and easy, and I don't know.
And sometimes I see something that I totally missed.
Yeah.
The next time, like, okay, for example, this isn't a book, but Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I was watching today. I never realized at the end that Cornelius, the Yukon Cornelius, the pickaxe dude in it, he finds a peppermint mine at the end. Like, he's looking for silver and gold the whole time. I totally have never seen that part before.
I don't know that I've ever seen that show, so.
You've never seen Rudolph?
Nope, not into the Christmas stuff.
Oh, I love Rudolph. Anyways, what are you reading?
Still reading the fifth book in the Septimus Heap collection. And by reading, I mean it's sitting on my nightstand. Haven't touched it. I'm still listening to The Wise Man's Fear, which is an audiobook by Patrick Rothfuss. Of course, you can also get it in print edition. And I started at the recommendation of our friend Becca, Will Pierogi, who is like my young adult on hand author, I guess. Like, I text her in the middle of the night, hey, what should I read next? And
she's a librarian at the Hinsdale Public Library, and she's one of the youth librarians.
Yeah.
Yep. In the suburbs of Chicago. So she is really, really good. She's fabulous at her job.
And she's very good at, like, I'll tell her some of the books I've read that I liked and then that I didn't like, and she'll be able to recommend something that'll fall within. So she pointed me in the direction of the Stray series, which is by Andrea Host, and I am almost through with the first book. I'm really enjoying it. It's science fiction, but I like it. It's pretty good. So that's what I'm reading.
In favorite things, we still have a coupon code for KnitVent 2014. It's for 25% off of both 2013 and 2014 with the code KG25. And we have two giveaways to do. Creative with Clay sent us these gorgeous...
Yes, Karan Sakar. Creative with Clay, it's an Etsy shop. And they're beautiful little dishes.
Yep. To give away.
And what are the numbers for that one?
Hold on, I have not pulled up Rav. I am fail.
I have not been on the internet very much lately because I just haven't felt like it. I've been sleeping sitting up for 3 days because otherwise I cough myself in oblivion. So
I haven't been on at all because I didn't have internet for a good bit of the trip. So let's see, 2 through 223.
All right. So am I going to draw two numbers?
You're going to draw two numbers.
Okay. So the first number is 91. So that should be on the 4th page.
1 second. I'm making it big so I can actually read. It is Sharona A, the mom, says the butter dishes are really cool.
They are. I agree.
Sharona, you're going to win the greenish one. Just send me your name and I will get it out to you. It may not go out for a while. I have a pile of prizes I'm looking at. And then we have this yellow one as well.
That one's number 167, which should be on the 7th page.
167. Betty for fiber. Love all the dishes, but that casserole speaks loudly to me.
Yeah.
So send me, Lala, your mailing name and mailing address, because I do need both.
And just be patient through the holidays with the prizes. I've mailed off everything that I had to mail off, but that was like a 4-week backlog, so...
I have a couple things still to mail off, but we'll get there. And then we also have... Actually, I'm going to the post office tomorrow to mail some stuff. The Mitten, which is a copy that I picked up when I got to meet Jan Brett. So it's an autographed copy.
And that one is between 2 and what?
That one is between 2 and 142, and we just have one of those. Because I have a budget. Otherwise, I would have bought everyone one.
It's number 123, which I believe is on the 5th page.
Okay. 123. I'm scrolling down. Yarn Addict. So, I don't have a tradition of reading the same book every winter. Growing up, I loved Laura Ingalls Wilder series. A lot of people did. A lot of people put that. Now I like reading 'Twas the Night Before Christmas to my son. Because of all the responses, I have to read The Mitten now. Well, guess what? I will be sending that your way. There were a lot of really good. In fact, I went to the library. There were some recommendations that I had not heard of before. So, and a lot of people said Little Women too.
Yeah.
And The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
I can't do Token Man.
And then some of the Narnias as well. So, but there were a lot of stuff that I hadn't heard of. So, there was a British mystery series I picked up from the library. I sent Wheezy to get it because I was totally out of town, and I put it on reserve from my phone. And it's so funny. Oh, and The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats. If you haven't read that to your kids, it's also a great picture book. But lots of good recommendations there. If you are looking for some good recommendations for reading. So great thread for that.
Do you want to talk about the museums that you guys went to?
So on our trip, we went to the Clinton Presidential Library, which was pretty interesting. They have a replica of his Oval Office, and then also his cabinet room, as well as lots of personal artifacts. So that was interesting. And my kids were all like, they have his report cards from like high school, and I was like, see, you should get good grades. So that was interesting. We spent around 2 hours there, and then we went on to the home of Walmart.
Bentonville.
Yes, and that is where Walmart corporate headquarters is. And they have a 5 and dime in the original location there where the first Walmart was, which was super small. And they also have a museum, so we went through the museum. It was really, I thought that was really fascinating. Like, he drove the same beat-up pickup truck until the day he died. It was just really, really interesting. He was an interesting dude. They had a replica of his office, the pickup truck, his medal of whatever, I'm trying to remember. It's the highest honor that a civilian can get. It's not the Medal of Honor, but it's like the civilian equivalent to that. I'm trying to remember. The Little Rock Nine also received them from Bill Clinton. That was in the first museum. So.
The Little Rock what?
The Little Rock Nine.
What is that?
Like the kids that integrated the school in
okay.
Little Rock in the Civil Rights Movement.
Okay.
So those two things were really interesting. We went to the 5 and dime, and my kids got things that make noise. Lots and lots of them. So we had a rule that they had to be put up while on the bus, so that I would not go into.
Or Miss Linneman would throw them out the window.
No, they would become mine. Like harmonicas, slide whistles, what else? Bike horns, like anything that they can. one of them bought a baton. There were bouncy balls. I was
Oh
like, this
gosh.
is worth. But they were real. Like my kids were so well behaved.
Well, they were like the beta club kids, right?
Yes,
So
they
they're
were
already,
beta
yeah.
spotlight. So they are kids that all get A's and B's, and typically do, if they had any write-ups for the year, they didn't come, but they have to do community service for beta club. So and I got all the 6th grade boys, so it was me and 8 Kobe's. So yeah,
Better you than me.
but it was lots of fun. On Friday, we went to Crystal Bridges, which is an amazing art museum that Sam Walton's wife kind of went around, had people obviously go around and get a lot of American artwork. The original Rosie the Riveter thing is there, but they have a lot of interesting textile pieces as well. And they also had an Audubon exhibit going on. But the art museum itself is really, really cool. It's done by a famous architect, and it is surrounded by all these hiking trails. So one of the people, and mountain biking trails. So one of the other chaperones that went with me is a science teacher, and he took the kids on like a 4-mile hike and wore them out.
That's awesome.
Like, they slept. So we did the art museum, which I was totally more into than they were. There's a crochet installation piece there that's amazing, and a woven piece out of pictures that was probably my favorite piece besides the Audubons. They slept the entire way back to Little Rock. We ate at the Golden Corral in Little Rock for dinner.
Fancy.
They make cotton candy there.
Oh.
So the kids all got cotton
So
candy.
they did not sleep from Little Rock to Memphis.
Did not sleep from Little Rock to Memphis. We watched the SpongeBob movie. So, and the bus driver told them that they could not say every line and sing along. But they were really, really good. They were well behaved. Crystal Bridges is something that I will go back and do again on my own. They're getting a Frank Lloyd Wright house. They actually purchased it from New Jersey. It was on the banks of one of the rivers. And I said that to Mom, and she immediately knew which one it was. And I was like, okay. But it was endangerment of flooding from being on the river. And so the owner sold it, and it's been being moved piece by piece.
Oh, wow.
All of its original furnishings to Bentonville from New Jersey. They're building another huge building up front. I think it's more of an education center. The way we got to go is they do a grant for schools, so they paid for basically everything but the kids' meals.
Well, that's
And
nice.
hotel stay. So the kids were only paid something like $75 to go on an overnight trip.
That's wonderful.
Which is unheard of. So it was really, really good. Had a great bus driver. So it was all right. Not as bad as I was fearing, except for the bed bugs. So, but they, like, once we taped them in their rooms, they, like, by 11, they were pretty much asleep. So that was good. Because my big worry was them trying to run around at night. And they did not do that. And at that point, I was so, like, frustrated with the bed bug situation. It would have gone very badly for them, had they?
Well, it would have spread like wild. Like, one kid gets wind of it, and then it's just like...
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Yep. But anyway, I had a great time. I am leaving for Philadelphia on Saturday.
And I am leaving for Mississippi on Saturday.
So we're going to see if we can maybe eat dinner or lunch where we meet. We're probably going to stay the night in Bristol, it looks like, or a little bit north of Bristol.
Yeah, we haven't really decided yet. We did take Neelix to the vet yesterday to check out a little lump that he got, which was fine. It was, whatever it was, she poked it and it drained and everything's fine. Okay. But we also got him some puppy Xanax.
Yes.
Because he whines constantly for 20 hours in your ear, and it makes people like me crazy. So... that'll be for him for the trip, which is good. Buffy is an excellent car rider. She gets in, sits down, and sleeps, and you have to force her to get out of the car just to go to the bathroom
all the time.
Huh?
That's pretty much Buffy all the time.
Yeah. She finds somewhere and then she's there. Like, she doesn't get too excitable about anything. But yeah, so Laura and I are going to pretty much miss each other completely. And then I come back the next weekend. Like, we leave the following Saturday to come home because Michael has to work the next week, and I do not. I have 2 weeks off.
I think we're coming back the 29th. So we might...
7, 28, 29. So I may be able to see you next Sunday.
Yes, that might be a possibility.
A week from Sunday.
We were going to come back later, but my parents went to their BMW. I'm riding with my parents because it's free.
Yeah.
So they went to their BMW Christmas party, and everyone was like, you know, it'd be awesome if we had a New Year's party at the Linnamans. And my dad was like, sure, because he's mayor. So he's actually the president of the club. So they're having a New Year's Eve party, which is Wednesday. So we would have to be back. So we'll probably leave on the 29th.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I'll get to see you at least that Sunday.
Yeah. Maybe we'll be able to have lunch too.
Yeah.
On the way down, or dinner or something.
But,
depending on what time you leave and what time we leave.
So, for the next couple of weeks, episodes will be, we don't know.
Sporadic.
When they happen, then we'll put them up. We hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. And get your lists with your New Year's resolutions ready. Jess was making resolutions about wanting to spend £2 a month and, like, this many numbers of sweaters and this many pairs of socks. And I'm like...
She always does that.
Yeah, and she meets them, too, so I'm not, like, giving her crap about it, but it just feels like another obligation, like...
My goal is to use up more stash than comes in.
That is, yeah, and the only one I can think of is I want to use some of my library patterns, like... In the past, it's been, you know, if I decide I want to knit something, then I end up going out and buying a new pattern. And yeah. I put everything in my Ravelry library that I own, like including all my books and magazines. Yeah. And I have, let me look, 7,311 patterns. So, I'm sure that I will have something that I want to knit in those 7,000 patterns.
I only have 1,200.
But you don't put all your books...
Oh, no, I have 8,656. Oh. I have all my books in there.
Oh, do you? Okay, I didn't know you did that. So, yeah. So, I am going to try to knit from my library more, as well as my stash. So.
Cool.
But anyway, that's about it. Again, we hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season, and we will try to podcast again soon.
It's going to be sporadic.
Yeah. Until the new year, it's going to be maybe one episode, so...
All right. Well, have a very happy holidays, everyone. And we will talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.